My name is Rigby Danger Shoots, and I am 8 years old, and I go to Logan Elementary. I live at St. Margaret Shelter. We've been living here at St. Margaret for 5 months now. All the people here, they're really nice. There's like stuff like people will like do beading, bingo, lots of stuff. I like to like paint, draw, and that's what I love doing. I love doing art and stuff. I'm looking forward to getting a house. I want to get like a duplex or like an apartment or something. Sometimes when my mom comes in the kitchen without me, I worry that she's gonna get hurt or something. Her name is Kelly, and she is a very nice person.
She is.
And very sweet and kind. I want to protect my mom at all times.
Why?
Because I love her.
Homeless families are the hidden homeless of our community. So hidden that we as a community have more than 3,000 homeless students in our local school systems, along with their families, without ever knowing about them. These families aren't sleeping on sidewalks downtown or panhandling on street corners or camping on the steps of City Hall. They're just trying to get their lives back.
When most people think about homelessness in our community, they flash on that guy pushing the shopping cart downtown, maybe suffering from mental illness, maybe suffering from addiction, maybe both. That's what people flash on when they think about homelessness. The truth is, the vast overwhelming majority of our homeless are not that guy. The vast overwhelming majority of our homeless are families. They're moms and dads with kids. And they're sleeping in cars, they're sleeping in shelters, sometimes they're sleeping in tents, they're couch surfing with their friends. This is the true epidemic of homelessness in our community. The most visually noticeable part of homelessness that we see are the folks we see downtown, the chronic street homeless. But the actual overwhelming majority of our homeless are families.
Hi, my name is Kelly Schutz. I'm 36 years old, and I'm living at St. Margaret's Shelter currently with my 8-year-old son, Rigby. We've been here for about 5 months. It's been a journey, I'd say. Everything kind of started a couple years back. I was in a really bad DV relationship, and I lost my kids due to, I just kept going back to him, and the kids were eventually taken out of the home because it was an unsafe environment. So there was a lot of stuff that happened in between then and now. I just got custody back of my son Rigby in March. So when I was in my 20s, I had issues with addiction and having nowhere to go and losing my children. That kind of brought up those addiction issues again, and that was a very huge struggle. Being on heroin and off heroin. St. Margaret's, I think, is the final step, or was the final step to me getting my children. So for me, St. Margaret's has been a huge thing in my life. I had to have like a stable living situation in order for me to get custody back of Rigby. And because this place, St. Margaret's gave me that, I was able to get my son back, which has been a huge game changer in my life. He is, everything to me. He's my motivation for everything I do in life, every single day. Every day I wake up, I eat, sleep, breathe Rigby, and that St. Margaret's has helped me tremendously with that. And not only have they given us a place to stay here for the past 5 months, we have a month left, but they're giving us a housing voucher. And with that housing voucher, we're going to be able to get an apartment or a duplex or something along those lines. And so they're really going to be sticking with us for a long time.
Let's try a little exercise. Let's pretend for a few minutes that you and your family are homeless. You've exhausted your friends and family and have been officially kicked off the couch and asked to leave and go solve your problem. Now you really don't know what you're going to do. Other than sleeping in your car, you basically have 2 options. The first is to find a walk-in shelter where you and your family might find immediate help. That's where a shelter like Family Promise Open Doors might help, assuming, of course, that they haven't reached their capacity for that night and are having to turn people away. That's how Gregory Greer and his daughter, Savannah, found themselves at Family Promise Open Door Shelter.
Gregory Greer is my name, This is my daughter Savannah Goodman. I'm 32 years old and I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. So what happened was, me and my parents we wasn't seeing eye to eye. I had lost my wife, my daughter's mother had died, so I wanted a big change. So I could have stayed in St. Louis, so I moved to Utah, met my girlfriend, you know what I'm saying? Then we moved to Spokane, Washington, and everything didn't go to a plan. So we ended up at the shelter, tried to go from there, and I'm still here. And I see things getting better, you know.
Family Promise is a national organization that serves families experiencing homelessness. And for the past 2 years, Family Promise of Spokane has operated the Open Doors 24/7 Family Emergency Shelter.
I'm Joe Ader. I'm the Executive Director of Family Promise of Spokane. Really, our mission is to end the cycle of homelessness for families in this community. When we meet people, we usually meet them on their worst day, the day they become homeless with children. And so they are hurting, they are tired, they're ashamed, and we really want to pour into them, equip them to bring them to a point to where they are happy, they are healthy, they are thriving in their lives in the community. And so that's our mission.
Hello, how can we help you?
Hi, someone said that if I come down you might possibly be able to help me. I'm homeless.
Okay, well come on in, let's see what we can do for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Your second option as a family experiencing homelessness would be a little more involved, because it means getting you and your family entered into something called the Homeless Family Coordinated Assessment System, or HFCA for short. It's a homeless database operated by Catholic Charities that prioritizes families according to the severity of their needs, and then works to identify the potential resources available to meet that need.
HFCA is the Homeless Families Coordinated Assessment System that starts the process for homeless families who need help through our system. We see different families all the time, and depending on what their level of need is, some folks have a higher need than others, and that's why we have the assessment tool, and that really gives us a good idea on what the need that family has. So if the score is a little bit higher, then those needs are just a little bit higher. So we're going to grab folks first that have more higher scores out of the assessment tool than folks who don't, because they have higher barriers to overcome before they can get permanently housed. I also do Diversion, and Diversion is a new program into Spokane. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to divert families from coming into the system, meaning these families may have a 3-day pay or vacate, they may have a 10-day vacate, or they may just be a little bit behind on their rent. And what we do is we try to keep them where they're at.
Here's the difference. A family experiencing homelessness can roll in on fumes, walk in the door at Family Promise Open Doors, and stay in the emergency family shelter if there's room. But to get into St. Margaret's Shelter, a family first has to go through an HFCA interview and have their needs evaluated by a caseworker who can then refer them out to services, including St. Margaret's Shelter.
St. Margaret's is a full family shelter here in Spokane. We have emergency and transitional housing, and we take referrals for families that come through our coordinated assessment program that need that emergency service. So families will come into our shelter and stay anywhere from 30 days, maybe they'll stay 60 days. Our average right now is about 63 days that we'll have families staying in our shelter. So we have about, last year in 2018, we had about 90% of our families that were here were single moms with kiddos in the shelter. So you see that reflected in the demographics of the families that come through our doors. Historically, even though we've been full families, we've seen the majority of them still being single moms with kiddos.
Family Promise and St. Margaret's represent the two primary options available to families experiencing homelessness in the Spokane area. Now, a third option for a family experiencing homelessness would be the Salvation Army.
So the families that come to us here at the Salvation Army, we have a variety of inputs for them. But the families coming here, if they're on the street, they move into our emergency shelter housing, and those families are ones that are living in their car, living on the street, boyfriend's taken off, girlfriend's taken off, they have children, it's a family shelter, and so they come and move into our shelter, and then from there We help them get back on their feet either by getting a job or finding the right public assistance they can get to get into permanent supportive housing. We have, in the emergency shelter, we have 12 units for emergency housing. So for that type of situation, for emergency placement of a family, we can do 12 families at a time, and they typically stay with us 45 days to 90 days.
Union Gospel Mission runs a shelter for women and children, but it doesn't allow families, moms and dads with kids, to stay together. Women and children go to one shelter, while men go to the men's shelter. And for a family already experiencing the trauma of homelessness, separating parents from kids is simply one more trauma in an already bad day. If we as a community are going to genuinely address the river of hidden homeless that flows through our community, we're going to have to do better. Our families are our future, and a significant number of our families are in trouble.